welcome back to the Digital Ledger Podcast. I'm DJ here with Erin, our built-in future radar. This one's about how CFOs are handling one of the toughest balancing acts right now, needing to invest in technology while watching profit margins compress. And honestly, this doesn't get talked about enough.
It really doesn't, DJ. And what makes this so tricky is that both pressures are hitting at the same time. The Deloitte Q1 2026 CFO Signals survey shows 49% of finance leaders are feeling strong pressure to invest in new technologies, cloud, AI, the whole stack. But simultaneously, 48% are citing declining profit margins as the reason they're prioritizing cost management. So you're being told to spend forward while your bottom line is shrinking. That's not a hypothetical tension. That's the daily reality for most CFOs right now.
And that's where a lot of leaders get stuck, because the instinct is to treat this like a zero-sum choice. Either you invest in innovation or you protect margins. But what the data actually shows is something more strategic. CFOs aren't just cutting across the board. They're redirecting. More than half, 52%, are redirecting operating expenses, and 46% are redirecting capital expenditures. This isn't about slashing budgets, it's about moving dollars from low-impact areas into the tools and capabilities that actually drive future efficiency and competitive advantage.
Exactly. And that shift from reduction to reallocation is critical because if you just cut reactively, you're going to stifle the innovation you need to stay competitive. The smarter move is asking, where can we pull back without compromising strategic value, and where do we double down to create it? That's the reframe that separates reactive cost management from strategic capital allocation.
Before we continue with the episode, we want to be transparent with our audience, and that is that AI helps support research and shape parts of this episode. But all fact-checking, analysis, and final decisions come from us as humans. We're blending the best of both worlds. Alright, now continuing with our episode. Here's what's interesting about who actually owns this problem. According to the survey, nearly 7 in 10 CFOs, 68%, say that outside of the CEO and board, finance has the greatest responsibility for overseeing cost management. So this isn't a shared mandate across functions, it's landing squarely on finance.
And that's a big deal, DJ, because it means finance leaders can't just be reactive budget gatekeepers. You're being asked to be the strategic architect of how capital flows through the entire organization. Every dollar spent or redirected has to align with broader objectives, not just tactical savings. It puts finance right at the center of value creation, not just cost control.
So if finance owns the mandate, the next question is, what are the actual levers CFOs are using to manage costs effectively? And this is where technology starts to show up more than just an expense line.
Right. Over half of CFOs, 53%, cited automation and technology upgrades as their most effective cost management lever. Not headcount reductions, not vendor renegotiations, but technology. And 43% pointed to increased productivity efforts, which are often enabled by those same tools. So the pattern here is clear. Finance leaders are moving beyond blunt force cuts and towards smarter ways of working. They're using tools to do more with the resources they already have.
And when you drill into which specific technologies are driving that, cloud-based planning, budgeting, and forecasting comes out on top at 43%, with data analytics tools right behind at 42.5%. That's reinforced by Deloitte's Finance Trends 2026 survey, where 51% of finance leaders saw cloud investment as their preferred cost management method. So these aren't theoretical solutions, they're tactical, deployable, and already proving ROI in real finance operations.
And for listeners, here's a practical step you can take this week. Identify one repetitive task in your finance function that still relies on manual input or outdated spreadsheets. Could that be automated? Could moving your planning to a cloud platform give you faster, more accurate forecasts and free up your team to focus on strategic decision-making instead of data wrangling? These aren't just IT projects. They're direct paths to freeing up capital and improving how you allocate resources across the organization.
But here's where it gets harder, Erin. Technology is a powerful lever, but it's not a silver bullet. The survey points to some significant internal challenges that aren't about the software itself, they're about how organizations operate. Nearly half of CFOs, 46%, cite silo departments or independent business units as their biggest internal challenge to managing costs. Another 39% point to outdated tools and technologies, which often stem from deeper organizational resistance to change. And 38% talk about a misalignment between corporate strategy and their actual approach to cost management. About 1 in 3 CFOs, 34%, even cite an absence of a cost management culture altogether.
So those are fundamentally leadership hurdles, not tech problems. You can deploy the best cloud platform or the most advanced analytics tool, but if your departments are operating in silos, or if there's no shared cost-conscious culture, the technology won't deliver the ROI you're expecting. That's the human leadership angle that often gets overlooked.
So, what does that mean for CFOs trying to navigate this double bind? How do you actually bridge the gap between investing in technology and embedding the organizational discipline to make it work?
I think it starts with empowering everyone, not just equipping them. Yes, give your teams the right tools, automation, cloud planning, analytics, but also build a mindset where cost consciousness isn't just a directive from the top. It's embedded in how every employee thinks and operates daily. That means giving them both the how through technology and the why through strategic alignment. And here's a concrete prompt for finance leaders. Take your last quarterly report and ask yourself not just where costs were cut, but where capital was strategically redirected for long-term value. How did you enable your teams to make those decisions at every level? That shifts the conversation from saving money to smart investing and sustainable growth.
And that's the real shift here. Cost management isn't about restriction. It's about creating the conditions for innovation and growth, even in a margin-constrained environment. It's about making sure every dollar you spend is working towards future competitiveness, not just short-term savings.
Exactly. And that requires both the right tools and the right culture. You can't have one without the other and expect to break through.
All right, I think we've covered the territory pretty well here. This was a solid conversation, Erin.
Yeah, definitely. Glad we got into the leadership side of it. Thanks for listening, everyone.
All right, let's leave it there for today. Really appreciate the time and the conversation. And to everyone listening, thank you for being part of this with us. We truly appreciate it. We'll see you next time.